figures. The 53,245 deaths recorded worldwide between September 27th and October 3rd, an average of 7,606 each day, showed that the global pandemic continues the downward trend that began at the end of August after a peak of around 10,000 deaths per day globally. The new weekly deaths figure is the lowest recorded since October 31st, November 6, 2020. Over the last month, the number of COVID-related deaths has fallen by almost a quarter as vaccination campaigns make progress. So there you can actually see the result of successful vaccinations, though, of course, there are many countries that remain to be covered by the vaccine drive. Now, in news coming out of the vaccine, Pfizer vaccination with 2 doses of the Pfizer jab stays highly effective against severe COVID, including the Delta variant, for at least 6 months. This is according to an analysis of U.S. patients. While previous data from clinical trials has shown that jabs protect against hospitalization, this study that was published in the Lancet measures one vaccine's effectiveness over time in a real-world setting. Pfizer and healthcare provider Kaiser Permanente looked at records from 3.4 million residents of Southern California, about a third of whom were fully vaccinated between December 2020 and August 2021. The results, the study notes, are consistent with preliminary data from the U.S. and Israeli health authorities. Reduced infection defense is likely to be primarily due to waning vaccine effectiveness rather than the Delta variant escaping vaccine protection, according to the conclusion by the authors. Well, to talk more about all these various news points, we're now joined by Dr. Rajneesh Kapoor, Vice Chairman, Interventional Cardiology, Medanta Hospital. Thank you so much, Dr. Kapoor, for joining us. And first and foremost, your reaction to the news that at least 70% of adults in India have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. How effective will that be in fighting the COVID spread?
No, I think it's remarkable the way India vaccination program has progressed over the last few months. So it's not easy for a country, a heterogeneous country like India, with such a high density to cover the vaccination so fast and so quick. So initially the pace had been slow, but last few months have been really good. And if we talk that 70% of adult population is inoculated by a single jab, I think it's worth, because that means the 70% of adult population is having some kind of immunity, although that would last for a few months and they would require a booster dose. That is imperative. We have to have a second dose to have a good immunity, but at least they are kind of partially immunized from the COVID infections for a few months. And now, especially with Diwali around, the festival season around, this was highly required, that some kind of immunity we are providing to 70%, and maybe by Diwali we have 80% of our population, adult population, who are immune. So that's going to give a good, healthy environment around in these festivities.
All right, because that remains the worry, isn't it, Doctor, going into this festival season and all that talk of a possible third wave, though now I think most experts are agreed it's not going to be anything like what we saw this in the second wave. However, we have to continue to be very, very careful, and even if it's one jab, it doesn't provide that full sort of protection, and you have to continue following all the COVID protocols.
Yes, absolutely. So one jab doesn't mean that the person who got the jab has to becomes a casual enough that now he got the inoculation, so he can just roam about without any precautions. That's not the message. Message is very clear that jab gives you an extra step to be protected from COVID infection. But if that person is not following the COVID appropriate behavior, still he is vulnerable. So the vulnerability decreases, but it's not gone. So 2 jabs definitely gives a better protection. So one, the pace of immunization, I think if we can further improve or further make it faster or more stronger, that's going to be the message from the government side. That's what should be done. And second, anybody who got only 1 jab, please keep following all the COVID appropriate behavior very stringently in these festival season, because don't be taken by this message for granted that one jab gone and you are all free to roam about without any appropriate behavior. That's not the message. So message is we are trying our best. Government is trying our best by giving you jabs, but you also follow the regime of following this behavior stringently in this festival season.
Right. And Doctor, if we take a look at the global numbers, and that's something we just talked about, how the weekly number of COVID deaths worldwide has fallen to unseen levels for almost a year. So do you think this means we're turning a corner with this pandemic and the fact that deaths are coming down and it's become the lowest than ever seen in a year? And also this points to the success of vaccinations, isn't it?
I think yes. So this is one of the best times in last 2 years where we are having the least infections and the COVID deaths going down remarkably. The reason I would give it to two basic reasons. One, because the COVID second wave was very intense, so it actually infected lot many guys, and in the society almost say symptomatic or asymptomatic 60-70% of the society of adult population was infected at some point of time. So that is one reason that some herd immunity was setting in. And second, the pace of vaccination. So if we say that 70-75% of persons, adult population is vaccinated, and more so, if the person who got a COVID infection and now gets vaccinated with a single jab, so it's almost like 2 vaccinations. So they are fully immune. But yes, if the person who's not exposed to COVID, they definitely requires 2 jabs. So both these things, the intense second wave and the carpeting of these vaccination all across our society, all across our nation. So these are the 2 main reasons why we are in better control of COVID infection in the society, and especially the mortality also.
All right. We're also joined by Dr. Rakesh Varma, Principal Consultant, DGHS. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. And your reaction to the news yesterday, the Health Minister said that 70% of, the population has received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. However, we still remain quite behind if we're going to give 60% of the population both doses of the vaccine by December, as the government has wanted.
Gargi, you must realize 2 things. India is a very diverse, very widespread country with a very huge number of population of over 130 crores. In such a situation, Government of India from the highest level, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Health Minister, Honorable Health Secretary are devoting all their time to ensure that our population gets vaccinated in time, gets vaccinated adequately, safely, and not a single patient who could be prevented should not be left over. Insofar as the other query that you raised, that at least 70% of adult population has already been vaccinated, that is a very, very good milestone. At least some exposure, at least part exposure to the virus has been done to 70% of outgoing population. Certainly, it will require a booster dose. Because as you know, through your media, I must tell you, I want to tell the general population also, there are 2 kinds of immunity cells that body has got. One is beta cells, which have got short-term memory, which can last for weeks or months. But when you do a booster dose, the body produces T cell memory. I repeat, T for Tata type memory, which is long-term effective. And this is not only for the COVID vaccination. Remember your old days. Remember the earlier years when small children go for the polio vaccination. How many doses we recommend? 3 or 5 doses. Not 1 dose. 3 or 5 doses depending upon different regimens. First dose for exposure, second for short-term memory, medium-term memory, intermediate memory, and third booster dose for lifelong memory. And thereafter we keep on recommending that every 5 years you can give booster. So far as the DPT is concerned, so for the other vaccination, MMR is concerned, we don't go by only single dose. Even for adults, when we give them pneumonia vaccine, that also requires a booster dose. So COVID vaccination also requires a booster dose. Now there are several vaccines available in the world, and at least 3 vaccines are available in this country. and more are in the pipeline. So I must ensure all of them will require, to some extent less, some extent more, a booster dose. But this milestone, which has been very nicely predicted said by the Honorable Health Minister, is that 70% of the adult population has been vaccinated, is a milestone not for India but for the world. Never ever, with such a rapid speed, with such a good efficiency, good administration, and remember one thing, its total cost is being borne by the government of India. So government is supplied to 70% of its population first exposure to the vaccine. And I'm very sure, as you are aware, government will give the second dose also.
Right. Thank you so much for that. And of course, I think around the world, the governments are providing vaccines to the public to ensure that the public health is maintained and the public is protected. Yes. We'll slip into a short break now, and do stay on, Dr. Kapoor and Dr. Varma, because after the break, we're going to talk about Russia, where suddenly they're seeing an increase in the number of cases and, worries on that front. We'll take a short break. Be back with more.
I love India.
At a time when our world changed in an unimaginable way, at a time when billions faced an unprecedented global calamity, when hope seemed to disappear and new challenges emerged, we were there to bring you the story of survival, of despair, and sometimes of hope. Left, right, and center. This is no ordinary talk shop. We debate the issues that matter to you. Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. on Ndtv 24/7.
From bartering to cash and coins to digital transactions, money is evolving. The way we make money is evolving. And now it's time to go crypto crazy. But can you shop online using crypto? Can you invest in crypto? Is it even legal? Well, we are here to bring you all the answers and decrypt the world of cryptocurrency for you. Come be part of this next-gen revolution. Join me, Sonal Kapoor, for some coffee and crypto.
Good evening. It's 8 o'clock. You're watching Ndtv for the news that matters, the news you trust. You said in this report that this crisis, like no other, will have a recovery like no other.
This is a crisis, it's a global crisis that's not going to be solved locally.
When we talk of a digital health mission in a country like India, where there are so many different standards of access, how do you actually look at that?
Digital divide does not mean having a device in everybody's hands. So you have to design it for universality, even when you're using a digital backbone.
Priya, for you, when you had stood in the dock, as it were, when you gave your defense, and you said, my only defense is the truth.
Absolutely. And I feel that sexual harassment at the workplace has got the attention it deserves.
NDTV, the news that matters, the news you need, at 8 o'clock.
Only on NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to a special show, Coronavirus Facts versus Myths. We will talk to experts in India and around the world to help us all debunk the dangerous rumors and lies that are being spread.
First minor symptom, from there you start your countdown. On the 5th day, and the only medicine that work at this stage, steroids and the anticoagulants.
General strategy as a public health professional should be, we stay prepared for the nth wave till a large fraction of the country is vaccinated.
No vaccine is going to be 100%. Even if it's 70%, 80%, 90%, that's the best alternative you have.
Weekdays at 1:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on NDTV 24/7.
FIR, a show on which we don't just ask the questions, we decode the news for you and bring you the answers.
What are these steroids? Do's and don'ts you must know. Why do reinfections really happen? Demystify for you this entire phenomena of antibodies. We take you through what is technically known as cloning.
Jobs in demand in 2021. Top 10 trends. Decoding the Bitcoin.
You don't have to buy an entire Bitcoin. You could buy Bitcoin worth just 500 rupees.
Watch for your information with me, Sonal Kapoor, weekdays at 6:30.
Welcome back. COVID news now from Russia, and the Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin on Monday said the government had serious concerns about a surge in new coronavirus cases. On Sunday, Russia had reported 890 deaths from COVID, a record daily toll which had surpassed the 887 on Friday. The number of new infections announced was the second highest in the year at 25,769, and the surging number of cases has placed additional pressure in hospitals. In fact, in St. Petersburg, an exhibition center has been converted into a temporary hospital. Well, let's go back to Dr. Rajneesh Kapoor just to get your comments on this, doctor, because that's the worry, isn't it? What we saw in the United States and now in Russia, again, the COVID numbers are going up, which is why, as many of you doctors, continue to insist you have to continue being very, very cautious about the COVID. Even if the numbers are down, it could, go up again at some point. So we have to continue following all the protocols.
Yes, absolutely. So I absolutely concur with these thoughts that, coronavirus is not going away from our society, from our vicinity. It's going to stay. So even if the numbers go down, we can't be just becoming casual about it. So I think Russia, what happened, they opened the tourisms like anything. They were giving packages for all the outside nations or outside inhabitants from Africa or Asia to come to their country as a tourism part. And second, their their vaccination program also went down and became, less paced. The pace of their vaccination program got stalled somewhere. So I think these are two main issues. And thirdly, the Delta virus exposure. So the countries who got exposed to Delta virus later on, like India got exposed to Delta virus in second wave extensively, I would say. But the countries who were not exposed, they were feeling the heat later. So Russia, these three reasons are the major reasons why now numbers are going up again. So very clearly to mention here that we can't take it for granted even if the numbers are going down. It has to be very stringent measures applied to the whole society by society itself or by the government, reinforced by the government. So they have to be in place. We can't just figure out that any casual attitude or COVID inappropriate attitude, it's not going to work.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajesh Kapoor, for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
And some other international COVID